Today's lesson is on arithmetic and geometric sequences. An arithmetic sequence is a sequence that I'm sure you've seen before where you have a common difference between your two numbers or your several numbers, and that difference is the same throughout the sequence itself. So you add or subtract a value to get to the next one. In order to be able to find a term further down in the sequence, you can use this formula. It's called the arithmetic sequence formula. So how you do that is you just, whatever term you want to find, so let's say you want to find the 20th term, that would be a sub 20 is equal to a sub 1, which is the first term, and n is the number of terms, and then d is the common difference. So you would take the first term plus n minus 1, so the number of terms minus 1, times the common difference. And that would give you that value at whatever term number you want to find. So let's see if we can do a couple of examples. The first example says determine if the following sequences are arithmetic. If not, find the common difference. And if they are, find the 15th term. So let's start with this first one. So what you do is you just take the second number and subtract the first number. So the difference between 5 and 2, 5 minus 2 is 3. Then you look at the next two terms. The difference between 7 and 5 is 2. And then the next two, the difference between 12 and 7 is 5. So what this means is that this sequence is not arithmetic. There's not a common difference, in other words. Now let's look at the second example. So in this example, let's see if we have a common difference. So if you take 45 and subtract 48, you're going to get negative 3. If you take 42 and subtract 45, you again get negative 3. And if you take 39 and subtract 42, you get negative 3. So what that means is since this value is the same, then this has a common difference, and that common difference is 3. Or negative 3. So what that means is we're going to take this formula here and we're going to find the 15th term. So in this case, for what we're trying to do, n's going to be equal to 15. We already know that the common difference d is negative 3, and the first term of this sequence is 48. So if we use this formula to find the 15th term, so we're going to say a sub 15 is equal to the first term, which we said was 48, minus the difference between 15, so n minus 1, times the common difference, which is negative 3. And if you do that math, and make sure that you do the parentheses first, follow your order of operations, your 15th term is going to be 6. So that's the 15th term. Make sure when you're doing calculations like this that you take a look at that sequence and see if you think that 6 makes sense to be the 15th term. Notice the numbers are going down, so you know that the value is going to get smaller, and yeah, to me it seems like 6 makes sense. All right, the next part of this, of what we're going to do, is we're going to be looking at the middle number in an arithmetic sequence. So say if you have a question like this next example, it says find the missing term in this arithmetic sequence. So the way you do that is really you're just finding the average term. So this is really just going to be your average. So you take the sum of the two numbers, so just like this says, you take 58 plus 93, and you divide that by 2 because you're finding the average. You're finding that number that goes in the middle. So that means that your arithmetic mean is going to be equal to 75.5. Okay, so the number that goes, this 75.5, for this sequence, that number would go in the middle between those two values. All right, so now we're going to take a pause and we're going to do a little practice with these concepts.